How's it going, guys? Hope everybody had a great holiday weekend. Back again, it's Unranked Podcast. You got myself, Grant, and we also have with us.
Elijah, welcome back. We're about to try to tackle get into these playoffs. NBA basketball is heavy, another focused NBA focused day to day. So yeah, just ready to get after it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna kick it off with I feel like has gotten more attention than actual basketball in the NBA playoffs, but fans. I mean, yeah, this is I'd say myself personally, this is probably the first time. Maybe it happens a lot more often, but now it's just more magnified just because of it being the playoffs. But I'd say, at least for me, like this is my first time just kind of seeing consecutive times of fans just not, just kind of acting out and um, can't really understand it. I mean, can't sit here and try to blame like being crammed in the house for the last year and a half so people don't know how to act. But, you know, it makes you think about how it was in Malice at the Palace. Some of them guys finally got fed up with it. Just had the beer thrown at them, and they was next thing you know they was in the stands brawling. So I think it's just kind of ridiculous how it's been happening. I love that they were able to charge that guy from the Celtics. It's just like they made an example out of him. People want to keep playing that game, and he unfortunately is the one that got caught
Right.
last and probably gonna get hit the hardest.
Yeah.
With consequences. So what's your takes on that?
No, I mean I agree with you that it's the frequency at what it's currently happening is the extremely alarming part. I think it's always been one-off instances. I remember a couple years ago, Westbrook got into it with a fan, I believe in
Utah.
Utah, and I know you said the Mouse at the Palace, and I know there's always been one-off instances, and I'm sure there is a lot that goes on that the players here on the benches going into the locker rooms that never surfaces because they just take it and it's I guess it's so inwritten in what happens that they don't even that none of that surfaces. And so
Yeah.
it only becomes very apparent when it's happening two or three, four times in a week on national television.
Yeah.
When you're watching the New York Knicks game versus Atlanta and they're spitting on a player. When you're watching John Morant and you didn't see this, but what was said to his parents, extremely racist shit that's just not within the realm of sports at all. This is past just hounding or criticizing a player because they're on the opposite team or saying that they suck or overrated or any of those type of things that are in line.
Yeah.
Uh, even calling Trey Young bald and all that stuff. That's obviously a bit pushing it a little more, but that's still within lines that you're not being racist. You're not doing anything um, that's just bigoted. So
Yeah.
I think you're seeing this across in many different arenas. And yeah, you pointed out um, that if a player were to ever want to retaliate or ever had an opportunity to retaliate, it's obviously not going to go well for any everyday civilian person that's going to be in that circumstance. And then
Right.
the player's ultimately going to lose millions of dollars because a circumstance that they should have never been put in the
Yep.
first place. So it's really all bad all the way around.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with you. I mean, I think to me it's just kind of crazy because these guys are paying thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars. I'm sure tickets ain't cheap right now just because they're at games at such low capacity. But just go and just like to talk to somebody's family like that you don't even know personally, and to like you hit it out of the head, like taking it to that next level. It's like why? Why do you need to talk racist like to a player's family when all he's doing is, his job and his family wants to come watch him do his job? I don't think in any circumstance needs to be taken to that level. There's it's just it's wild. I mean, the guy like spitting on Trey Young, like I just don't like shit like that. Like, there's no reason for it to get that far. I came in. I feel like I've never even went to a game and just decided to just like berate a player. It's just something I don't go to games, pay money to just stand up and just like talk bad about somebody's family or talk bad about them or just like say things that are just disrespectful. So yeah, it's been odd. I mean, like I said, I think hopefully it's gonna calm down here and people are gonna start kind of like acting right, during the rest of the playoffs. But I think it's definitely just something that um really surprised me. I mean, even you thought it was done. Some guy runs into the court in the Washington and the Philadelphia game last night.
Yeah.
Like runs into the court, like smacks the backboard, and then as soon as he gets tackled, he's got his hands up, like, oh, like almost like, what am I doing wrong? Like it's I don't know, it's kind of surprising to kind of see that reaction, and you're just sitting and watching the game, and you're just like, whoa, like why is the guy on the court? So.
No, I think a lot of I think it has to be on the league to kind of band together and make it where if you do this and you're banned from one arena, you're banned from every arena. You're banned from being able to access this sport in live in person.
Mm-hmm.
Because and I think that kid that threw the bottle has to be made an example out of. They're quick to make an example out of other people in certain circumstances. So this kid has to be sacrificed for that. Because if you allow him to throw that bottle and get away with it, and then so what's going to stop a person from throwing a beer bottle and hitting a player? What's going to stop a person from waiting outside the back doors when the players get on the buses? What's going to stop player? If you don't stop this now, it's no telling where it'll go and how quickly it could escalate to something that nobody wants to see. And I would say that it's on the league and the teams to band together and unify this as a whole. That is completely unacceptable. And so I would say that. And just a second on that, real quick, it might be a case where people see. It's kind of like like a serial killer. They might see a little bit of a fame that these other guys are getting, and they think they can get some of that. They can, and even the kid I see in the video of him getting pulled away. He had the Garnett jersey on, and I see people saying that means he's not racist. Just because you have a jersey of a black man does not mean that you're not racist. That's like third grade level thinking. So I would say he had the smirk on his face. I could already tell you exactly what type of kid he is. And for people to make excuses for that lets me know what type of person they are.
Yeah. So. It's entitled. I mean, like Kevin Durant, all them guys that hit it right on the head. It's like, it's not a circus. Like you're not throwing tomatoes because of a bad performance. We're not, berating people because the performance is not good. It's like, come sit down, shut up, and watch high quality playoff basketball. Like it shouldn't be. It shouldn't even be a discussion. Or, I don't know. It just sucks that people even haven't had this conversation, really even seeing this type of stuff. And like I said, in some situations, I mean, to pay money to go to a game and be racist, that just doesn't even make sense to me. Like, why would you pay money to show up somewhere and just be disrespectful so that now you can't ever go back ever again? Like, it just blows my mind. So.
Yeah, I can't wrap my head around it. And I think, I hate to say this, but I think this might be only the beginning, as far as until they really come down hard on, everybody in general. And I think, this is not an excuse at all. So I'm not making it an excuse, but I do think people, are losing their damn minds because they've been in the house for so long. And that when you combine all of that and,
alcohol,
and
just the environment.
And I think that allows somebody to maybe be a little more comfortable. None of that is making them racist. It's just allowing them to be comfortable enough to be themselves.
Absolutely. 100%.
Agreed. And, it's obviously a hard transition away from that into just more lighthearted. I don't want to even say lighthearted topic, but just a more basketball centric topic. And that would be just how so many players are being riddled with injuries. So many teams being riddled with injuries. And we're not even, we're halfway through round one. And that was a very common theme throughout the regular season. Players are going down constantly with injuries. And that hasn't seemed to slow down at all. It's only seemed to magnify as the playoffs are heading up and the amount of days are condensed. So, we're just going to kind of get into some of the, the bigger injuries, bigger headlines, and see how it's affecting the playoff picture.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, they would definitely had something to do like a shorter season. I mean, guys are playing back-to-backs, playing every other night. I mean, I don't think a team besides around the All-Star break had longer than like a 3 to 4 days, 3 to 4 days off in a row. Some teams had some games postponed and whatnot just because of COVID, but you're definitely starting to see some of the after effects. I mean, one that came to mind was how, the Heat pretty much, they didn't sell out, but they were able to get their hands on Victor Oladipo. He kind of was hurt towards the end of the season. I mean, I feel like, he kind of probably could have given a little bit of a scoring punch. That series wasn't ever really that close, but, just kind of going in a man down, you're already kind of like the chips are already stacked against you. And then Chris Paul kind of like getting the fluke, shoulder injury. Joel Embiid, he fell on his back. I thought it'd been a bit of tailbone injury. Come to find out, he got a knee issue. He's probably not going to play game 5. So that alone just extends that series from they really should have been done yesterday.
Right.
Now they got to play tomorrow. Hopefully they can win that one in order to give themselves some rest. Because I'm pretty sure that Hawks and Knicks series is probably going to be done tomorrow. So that's definitely having an impact. It's never fun to see. I know myself personally, it's kind of hard to watch some games if like the star players aren't playing. No offense to the role players and all the other guys that are on the bench and whatnot, but it just kind of makes it a little bit of a challenge to, tune into some of those games, especially when these guys are, when they're out and, just hurt or banged up.
No, I agree. And I think you touched on, I personally, I didn't even think about the, Oladipo and how that could have played a factor, into the Heat, which seems like they kind of just lost all momentum. It kind of seems like what happened to them this round seems like what should have happened to them last year when all the injuries happened in the playoffs, where they were just getting smacked constantly. But instead, people were stepping up to the plate, whether it's Duncan Robinson, or Tyler Hero or whoever else was stepping up big at the moment then. So it's kind of interesting to see how that all kind of, just, I was like, I would have never guessed at some of the scores of those games. Those were getting out of hand very early. And so, that's definitely a good point that I didn't even think about as far as him.
And I'm not going to say that like, they might have lost by like 15 instead of like 30 some of them games. But like, I mean, it's just stuff like that. And like, I actually saw somebody pointed out that like the final 4 of the playoffs last year was Denver, LA, the Heat, and I'm blanking on the Celtics. And they said the Heat, the Lakers and the Celtics are both the 7th seed on the verge of getting pulled out, kicked out. Denver's in a dogfight, and then Miami, these are the 4 teams that played longer than everybody else. So they kind of had to ramp things up a little bit sooner than a lot of teams did. And I mean that, especially when you're in a season where you're playing back to backs, you're playing every other night, like it just kind of takes a toll.
Yeah, no, I agree. And if you're Miami and LA, they had what, like 70 days off?
Yeah.
So, just over 2 months off after going hard for, well over a year.
Yeah.
So I think, it's definitely playing, a factor in just how all these teams are, I don't know, just getting beat up. And it's hard to see, Donovan Mitchell missed game 1. They probably stole that game due to him being injured.
Yep.
We mentioned Chris Paul and how that could have had an impact on that series. He hasn't missed any games, but he's been a shell of himself. Yeah. He's been out there. At times I could even say hurting the team when you look at when they put in the backup point guard Payne, and he's the offense seems
re-energized. Yeah.
But I would say his injuries kind of seems to be on the upswing as far as he came together pretty well in the last game. But it's just riddling throughout the teams, and I'm scared for just how it could have an impact throughout. Joel Embiid, I think if he goes down, that team is nowhere near where they should be or who they could be as if he's playing. And
they could lose to the Hawks.
Yeah,
I mean that's their inside presence. They don't have anybody. I mean, Dwight Howard, he's getting up there in age. I mean, he's still solid, but like that production. I mean, Joel Embiid's probably the best center in the league, probably the best center we've seen in the last like 3 to 5 years. Some would argue, and him going down would be huge.
And although Dwight Howard is if you had to put Dwight Howard in for situations, he's great. And Dwight Howard is a Hall of Famer, but if you had to put him in for situations, he's great at the moment. But that offense runs through Joel Embiid. He's one of the few guys in the league, big guys in the league, that the offense is flowing through them. They're touching the ball every time down. They're swinging it around. They're kind of juicing the whole squad to make them who they are. So I would say when you look at that situation, that's kind of a bit scary for them, especially when you look at how people have decided they're going to play Ben Simmons and they're going to just, hack a shack him at the end of the game, and which cost him the last game.
Right.
So if you think Embiid's going down, that's how they want to play your second best player. Then you're kind of out there, and what are you doing? Because if you're kind of you're crippled at that point.
Has he always been that bad at free throws? I don't remember him. He started the series 0 for 10.
Yeah. So I think he's been pretty shaky, like most of the time. I think he's been, 50s, 60s, somewhere in there.
He's shooting with the wrong hand.
Yeah.
He definitely is.
I seen on must have been, I don't know if ESPN or Sports Center, somebody said that his third or fourth game ever in his career, they hacked to Shaq him, and he shot like 24 free throws. And so when you think about it, I think he has been bad, but I also think it's one of the moments where you can kind of get away with it when things are going well, but then when somebody keys in on it again, it's bad. Like
Yeah.
Drummond, like we went through that with Drummond with the Pistons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And it gets
they would
real
do it.
tough.
They would do it for weeks on end because he was just in a cold streak, and then he would heat up and hit somewhere respectable in the 60s, and they would back off.
Yeah.
So
And it's tough when your second right. It's tough when your second best player goes from being like super aggressive, probably lives in the paint, guys, because he can't shoot worth a damn, to like just being, really taking steps back, being a lot more passive, worried about going to the line. I watched his interview. He claims he wasn't worried about going to the line, but everybody watching that game could tell he was concerned about going to the line, taking his time getting there, really just like was not, very composed when he did get to the line. And so it'd definitely be interesting to see how that series unfolds. Got a big game tonight. The Lakers playing the Suns. And that'll just really, Anthony Davis, that it was clear from when he's playing well, when he's not playing well. He's kind of turned into that guy that makes that team go. So to really be, and I just got a notification saying he's going to be out tonight. So I don't think him even trying to play would have made a difference at all. So it's probably best to give him 4 days off and prepare for game 6.
I don't think, I didn't think there was any chance he played tonight.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. That injury, it was kind of weird because I still don't, I believe that he's hurt. I just don't see how he injured that part of his leg falling like that. It's just kind of a freak injury. But
somebody's foot, and I think he's like overstretched, and he's always falling. So it's just like, not making fun of him or anything, but it's just like, man,
No, it definitely happens. And I think when you are playing with multiple nagging injuries anyway, you're going to jump a little more funny. You're going to land a little more awkward. You're going to, your body's just not how it is. So any one little other thing, it's you could pop or tear something or whatever, So I think he's definitely it's a major impact. I think it's just I think this series, how great the series would have been if we weren't robbed of Chris Paul being injured at first and then him being injured now and just kind of how we were robbed of a great series and
kind of like 80% maybe, wherever he might be as far as his injury too.
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy to see how it all plays out when the momentum of teams that are rolling at the start of the year to the injuries they have to fight to where they are now. And it kind of just makes me wonder, if some of the other players can step up, Kyle Kuzma or KCP or somebody, if you can get hot, I still think I said this a podcast or two ago, and that's even still with AD being injured. I still think you survive this and get LeBron a little more healthy, get his legs a little more under him, you can still make a run.
Yeah.
I think certain other players are going to have to step up. And I do think, I'm not one of the people that say they have a bad roster. I do think they have good players on their team. I think just one of those things where a couple of those players are going to have to put together games and with the help and assist of obviously LeBron James running the show, orchestrating it all. I think all those other players are going to have to just step up. I'm talking about Kuzma.
He's due for a good night.
Yeah. And I think he plays better when AD isn't there.
Yep.
because they kind of, I think, share the similar like movement.
And
Yeah. They
yeah,
kind of mirror each other on
yeah,
uh, what they, how they like to be on the court. I think they mirror
right.
each other a lot. And, so he is do a good game. But I think,
What's interesting too is like Montrez. He
yes,
didn't
yeah,
play. I think he has to play tonight. I mean, I feel like he would have to. I don't know if it's something's kind of like that rotation with Gasol and Drummond. I don't know if he can't play with either of those guys, or whatever that may be, might be hurt, something along those lines. But yeah, I think you probably definitely we should expect to see Trez. I think that'd be something to definitely look out
I
for.
don't, I want to know where he's been.
Yeah, me too.
I think with how some of these games have played, you could have, nobody's going to get mad if you bring him in and experiment. You brought in Gasol for 20 minutes.
Yeah,
You brought in, you're trying other things. I feel like bring him out here and see what he can do.
yeah,
He might, I feel like at some point, he probably would have been a perfect injection into what they had. He's a physical player. He's a tough player. And I think,
just this year.
sometimes you just need to slow it down and give it to a person on the block and let him beat somebody up.
Yeah,
And that kind of,
high energy guy. Like, I mean, he could come in there, give DeAndre Ayton hell, and what I'm saying, give him a lot of problems, get him in foul trouble potentially, because they definitely don't have, the Suns don't even have the size to like hang with the Lakers. But what's happening now is like just like some of the matchups with AD being out, those matchups kind of do now favor the Suns because they're able to work a little bit better off of playing some smaller guys and like run up and down the court. And I think Harold would fit, in that pretty well, to where I think he could kind of hang with those types of like lineups.
agree. I agree. I wonder what Frank Vogel's doing. I never thought he was that great of a coach, but that makes me, question a lot of things because I think you can
100%.
put together a unit out there and it might be with LeBron, Kuzma, Harold, and Dennis Schroeder. I mean, you just try some shit out there
Yeah.
and I think you you might just generate that spark you need with a group of guys that they haven't played together yet, or
Mm-hmm.
they haven't played much together. And I think, and that's kind of how I would go about it. I would try to force the hand on we're going to control the situation with these guys
Yep.
versus we have to play to them. I
Yep.
think they say we have the best player on the court, even at 80%, and we have the better role players, and let's just put it together.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think they got to start Kuzma tonight for sure,
yeah,
and just kind of like because that like Crowder's not like an amazing player, but the fact they're playing him at the four,
hmm
like they can't start Trez. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't start Gasol because like they're not gonna be able to stay with Crowder. So I think they got to kind of mirror what the Suns are doing as far as just like size and that type of matchup. So, and I agree, Vogel. I mean, I don't ever think he's an okay coach. I think he also kind of had some blunders as far as lineups and some adjustments he made in the playoffs last year. And this is one of them scenarios. You start kind of doing stuff like this. This is that front office is like, okay, we got you the players. Obviously injuries are a factor, but
His claim to fame would be what? Like taking LeBron to game 7 with the Pacers? Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like he hasn't really been, um, and that was kind of when the East was it was LeBron and then whoever could somehow make it to the playoffs to play LeBron to lose.
yep,
So I think um, I don't know. I'd say that to say he's not that.
he held his own. Did okay,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I don't think he's kind of like that random. Like he's like that random option. So yeah, but we'll see all in due time. It'll be a good game tonight.
Real quick, who you think got it tonight?
Uh, I'm going Lakers. I think LeBron, like, he understands what he needs to do. I expect him to be super aggressive. Guys just got to hit shots. Like, it's already kind of tough. Like, Caldwell Pope might not be playing tonight. Um, but Ben McLemore has kind of showed he can come off the bench pretty much cold and at least get you
Yeah,
9 to 12
that's
points.
another guy that needs that could.
Plus Matthews got to hit some shots. Kuzma need at least 15 to 20. In that 15 range, I think if he's going to kind of be that X factor. And so it's going to need like Brian going to probably had to go for 32 to 35, and then somebody else got to kind of meet him in the middle. I'm not asking somebody else to go for 25, 30, but somebody needs to definitely be more aggressive and help them over top. But yeah, I'm taking the Lakers.
Okay. I don't know. I would not be shocked if LeBron went crazy and they pulled it off.
Mm-hmm.
But at this current moment, I think Suns overall in the series. But I would tonight is kind of a toss up. I'm gonna go. LeBron will go crazy, and Suns will probably win. And then I
Yeah,
think from there, I don't want to say crazy, but like you said, upper 30s.
yeah.
You know,
Portercast just gotta.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
the key.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he can get that, um, but also if it is a close game, I don't think you should go to supporting class. I think you should just do it.
Right.
I'd rather LeBron be 0 for 5 in the last 3 minutes than Alex Caruso be 0 for 5. And
Yeah.
I think just go for it. You ain't got nothing
Yeah.
to lose. You ain't
Right.
got yeah.
Yeah. The pressure, like you know, the pressure not there as much as it is. You know what I'm saying? This ain't Game 7 of the finals. One of the things where it's like he should really be able to kind of come out and be like, all right, like we go down 3-2, go back to the crib, we got a chance to tie it up. So it's like, why not just let loose and try to steal another one on the road?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's his mindset. So yeah, we'll definitely see. But I just wanted to also ask you about the Brooklyn Nets. Combined for 100 and something points.
Yeah. No, that's crazy.
That's scary. Like I was watching that game, and I mean, you got a guy, Kevin Durant gets 42, like 30 something minutes. Kyrie goes for 39, like 6 threes.
Mm-hmm.
Harden 23 points, 15, 16 assists. That is just those. I'm starting to think I was kind of calling the Heat to be the team to possibly, knock them off and not rule them out. I don't really see. The Bucks series be very interesting because I think they match up well. They just probably can't score. I don't think they can score as much. Like they can't hang with them. They'd have to like play some great defense. But I mean, I guess what are your thoughts? What do you kind of see, for your going forward?
I think they're very. I think it's interesting to see them all together.
Yep.
They're finally coming together. They're finally, coming together and playing a good stretch of games as a unit.
Yep.
So I like what we're seeing. I think, honestly, I'm pretty confident. I think you got those three guys. You got Joe Harris, who's shooting like 50% from three, and I don't even think I'm being exaggerated when I say that.
Not
So I think,
accurate.
yeah. So I think if you can have two of those guys on and Joe Harris smack a couple threes every night, you're gonna be able to make your way through the East.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing is staying healthy. I know for some reason Steve Nash likes to leave them in the game at the end of the game when they're up big. I think that's something I would not do for a group of guys that have a tendency to be injury prone.
Yep.
So I would, even if that's another 2 or 3 minutes on the back end of every game, you do that 4 times, or, and try, that's going to add, all those minutes are going to add up, throughout the series, as you're reaching through the playoffs.
Yep.
So I don't know. I kind of like what I'm seeing. I love what I'm seeing, to be honest. Bucks, I know they beat them in a back-to-back near the end of the season. And I don't think the Nets were at full strength then.
I think Harden might have been missing.
Yeah. So I think, that wasn't exactly an indication of what we'll see. But obviously, when you have Giannis, when you have Brent Forbes shooting the lights out, yeah, they obviously have a very, very good chance.
They got the personnel to at least like slow him down. Like Bobby Portis, like people might not really know who he is, but I think he's probably one of the biggest pickups.
Yeah.
Like getting him, I mean, he just gives them a whole different like kind of toughness. PJ Tucker. I mean, that's been a guy that was in Houston just doing all the dirty work. They started him at center.
Yeah.
I think is the stupidest thing that can ever. The probably the stupidest thing you ever do in the NBA is start a guy at 6'5" at center. Obviously, didn't work out well for him, but like he's capable of guarding the 1 through the 5. Consistently getting in people's way, slowing them down. I think that would be a nice little 6-7 game series.
I agree.
Potentially, but it'd just be a matter of like Kyrie and them get hot. It's gonna get scary.
The thing I always find the most shocking is when I look at the box scores, and KD is always efficient. He's like, you look at the box score, he'll be 11 to 15. He'll be fucking, 10 to 14.
Yeah.
He's never shooting, uh,
Never
a
been a
bad,
volume shooter.
he's never been a volume shooter.
Not shooting
So,
30 points off 30 shots. Like, yeah.
right. So I think that's just that efficiency and just humming along. And with the other two guys being there as the greatest supporting cast ever, the greatest, uh, all three of those guys could easily have their own teams and people built around them. They
Yep.
all have in the past and went pretty far in the playoffs. So I think all that being said is going to come down to a couple things. Can Giannis hit those threes? Because I know that he had a couple games where he did in this series.
Yep.
But if he can hit those, then it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
But if he reverts back to the mean and that's missing, I think the Nets, like you said, 6 games. If he's on closer to 7,
Yep.
but either way, I think it's gonna be a great series.
Yeah.
Assuming they pull it out tonight. Knock on wood.
Right. Yeah, and I think, as long as Giannis stays to him, like sticks to who he is, just attacking the paint, just being super aggressive,
Mm-hmm.
they'll definitely, everybody else kind of tends to follow when he starts to get rolling. Another person we didn't even name was Chris Middleton. That's
Yes.
somebody, he's a solid defender, and he'll be giving guys issues on the offensive side of the floor, just as much as they'll be giving him issues too. So that's one series I'm definitely going to be looking forward to watching.
Yeah. No, the Nets are just a fun team to watch.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not to get this kick, all can go for 40, 80 point. It's just
Yeah,
fun watch.
absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, like I said, all in all, basketball's been great. Unfortunately, there was quite a few blowouts this past weekend, but I'm, hopefully the next few days got some good matchups. To look forward to. What series would you say is like your favorite one so far in the first round?
So my fault, man. You kind of actually broke up. All I heard was favorite.
Which series has been your favorite in the first round?
I honestly really do enjoy these LA Phoenix games.
Yep.
I really do enjoy those. But other than that, I would say I've been watching the Hawks Knicks. I like that. I just like the energy.
Gracie and Derrick Rose like getting back to it.
Yes.
He's
Yeah,
only
no, it's great
32.
seeing him. You see what?
He's only 32.
That is crazy.
Not only 32, but it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I think all he's been through, you would think he would be,
I was
30.
way out. He's got at least 3 or 4 more years, you know what I'm saying, barring injury.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's one of my favorite series. It got out of hand Saturday. Yeah, that kind of sucked, but, or that was Sunday. That kind of sucked, but they've been like playing some real playoff basketball. They've been getting into it with each other.
Right, right.
I expect Julius Randle. I think he finally like woke up. He kind of started getting back, he got like 22, 23 points the other night. So I think that one might, they might be able to force a game 6.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if I seen that. So yeah, and I think Trae Young's going crazy. I just I love his game.
Yeah.
I think, he's one of them guys that he definitely he's not a volume shooter. I wouldn't necessarily say, maybe kind of getting there, but he's also, I feel like I look up and he has like 20 points and 15 assists, and I didn't even really see how it happened. Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of,
and his game has changed too. Like when they were really bad, like he was averaging like 30 something a game, shooting like 10, 12 threes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's really, in that 22 to 25 point range. He had 30 a couple times, game 1 and game 2. But he's having like 10, 12 assists. Like he's definitely, they got a lot of weapons. They're not getting credit for how good they really are. Like they're very solid.
Yeah, and young.
Yeah. They're like I feel like the Knicks and the Hawks are the definition of like, not so much the Knicks, they always kind of struggle with like draft picks, but the Hawks are like a prime example. Like Trae Young, DeAndre Hunter, white dude, his name is like John Lure or something like that, number 3. Like they're like the definition of just kind of like you draft well, make a couple solid trades, develop. They got like some, Bogdanovich, Gallinari, Capella, like those guys. two of those three, Gallinari and Capella, have been in the playoffs before. So they got like a perfect mix of like a team that could definitely they could give the Sixers some trouble if Embiid is injured.
No, for sure.
So
That Capella guy, he's just sneaky good. Like he's like one of those like I didn't realize how old he was. He's like 32. But I feel like I just heard his name like 3 or 4 years ago for the first time. But yeah, no, that they do got a good squad.
yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. You got anything else for the people?
No, sir. Just tune in and watch the games. We'll be back with another another episode in a day or two. Maybe
Absolutely.
3 or 4 days actually. But we'll
Yeah.
see we'll see how this playoffs is working out.
Yeah, absolutely. Till next time, guys.